This morning shut down. Melbourne's construction industry closed after violent protests. Pfizer announcement. The drug giant declares its vaccine is safe for children aged 5 to 11. Playdates return. Under 18s allowed to form a friends bubble in New South Wales. What it means for parents. And royal baby news. Princess Beatrice welcomes a healthy baby girl.
This is 7 News with Jody Spears.
Good morning. The Victorian government has shut down the construction industry for 2 weeks after tradies clashed with police in violent protests. Officers were attacked, some belted with bottles by demonstrators who claim union leaders haven't done enough to resist compulsory jabs.
A city in lockdown and an industry at flashpoint as a tradie war erupts outside the CFMEU's Elizabeth Street headquarters. These construction workers say they're fighting back against forced vaccination, their anger aimed at their own union. After a 7-hour standoff, it exploded at 4 p.m. when heavily armed police arrived. And the police behind us, we need to... Police were pelted with bottles. Staff trapped inside used hoses in a desperate attempt to clear the mob. Union boss John Setka urged protesters to calm down, denying the union backs mandatory vaccines.
There'd be a whole bunch of people who are at home because their industry's shut, and they'd be scratching their heads.
CFMEU windows were smashed, glass was kicked in, police standing face to face with builders, bringing city traffic to a standstill.
Items are being thrown towards the police, so we're just going to stick back and...
I need you out of here.
Okay,
we're in our way. I need you out of our way, please.
Go this way.
Well, hurry up. Out of our way.
But the Premier is standing by his vaccine ultimatum.
Industry would have to operate under different settings, and no doubt I would get advice that it had to be closed. I wouldn't want to do that.
A high-vis anti-vax show of force as the construction industry faces a COVID crisis. Paul Dowsley, 7 News.
Australians are waiting to hear when Pfizer will be rolled out to young children after the drug giant announced the vaccine is safe for 5 to 11-year-olds. Let's go live now to political reporter Rob Scott in Canberra. Good morning, Rob. What does this mean for the Australian rollout?
Well, Jody, just a week ago, the program hit a major new milestone here when bookings opened up for children aged 12 to 15 to be able to go and get a Pfizer shot. But at the moment, COVID vaccines are not approved for use in kids any younger in Australia. But now that the drug company has finished its trials on primary school-aged children, it expects to apply for emergency authorisation in the US by the end of the month, which means 5 to 11-year-olds could start getting it within weeks there. Once that happens, it really does open the door for the jab to be approved for use here, once Australian authorities have, of course, gone through all their necessary checks and balances. As part of its trials on 5 to 11-year-olds, Pfizer tested a much lower dose, a third of the amount that is in a normal shot, and the results are really promising, showing children develop antibodies that are just as strong as teenagers.
We are seeing these preliminary data being shared and being consistent with what we expected, that children would be able to tolerate the vaccine well and that it would hopefully have good, robust immune responses.
Trials on children aged under 5 are still ongoing. Those results are expected by the end of the year, though. Jody?
OK, Rob, thank you. Lockdown relief is finally here for Sydney parents, now able to drop their kids off at a friend's house under a new bubble arrangement. Crisis Cabinet signed off on the measure overnight, allowing under 18s from the same area to meet in groups of 3. Sydney COVID infections have fallen below 1,000 for the first time in nearly a month.
Look, I certainly hope it's behind us, but you never know with COVID. It's insidious. We're feeling more positive than we have in a couple of weeks, but we're not ready to call it.
935 cases were reported yesterday, sparking hopes the outbreak has peaked. Queensland's border could stay shut until vaccination rates reach 90%. Experts say that could be well into the new year. Anastasia Palaszczuk has not committed to opening up at 80% double jabs like Victoria and New South Wales.
Well, that depends nationally on when the whole of the country reaches a particular threshold. and the Doherty Institute is working on those issues for National Cabinet at the moment.
Brisbane Airport is on high alert today after a traveller who spent 4 hours there later tested positive in Darwin. Deputy Prime Minister Barnaby Joyce has defended Christian Porter's decision to remain in Parliament as a backbencher, saying he is entitled to stay. Porter resigned from the front bench on Sunday after revealing some of his legal fees from a defamation action against the ABC were paid from a blind trust.
I believe he should be given another chance at some future time in a senior role.
Porter maintains he did not breach ministerial standards by accepting the donation. Australia Post is embarking on another job blitz, looking to hire 1,600 more permanent staff ahead of its busiest Christmas ever. It's in addition to 3,300 casual roles currently available. A record surge in online shopping has stretched Australia Post's resources. It's currently delivering 2 million parcels every day. Airlines are preparing for takeoff when Australia hits crucial vaccine milestones. One-way fares are on sale as low as $20 between Melbourne and Sydney, Newcastle or Byron Bay. Qantas revealed booking inquiries spiked by 175% after announcing it will be flying again in time for Christmas. A quick check of sport now, and Alistair Clarkson has rejected a last-minute appeal from Carlton to be their next coach. The former Hawthorn boss spoke to the Blues over the weekend but said he's determined to take at least a year off. Port Adelaide assistant Michael Voss is the favourite for the job.
I need a spell. I've only got 2 years. That's flat out or stop. I'm just not ready to go flat out again right now.
Melbourne are confident small forward Charlie Spargo will overcome an ankle injury to play in Saturday's grand final. You can watch the game live on 7. In the NRL, the Dally M medal race is down to 5 players. Panthers halfback Nathan Cleary leads the count after round 19, with Manly superstar Tom Trbojevic in second, despite his injury-ravaged season.
The last couple of years haven't been the most ideal for myself on the injury front, and there has been many challenges, but I've got a lot of people that are in my corner.
Sea Eagles captain Daly Cherry Evans, Rabbitohs playmaker Cody Walker and Roosters skipper James Tedesco round out the 5. The winner will be named on the second night of the ceremony next Monday. Checking Tuesday's weather now. Windy and mostly sunny in Brisbane today, a top of 25 degrees. A shower or two, a top of 17 in Sydney. Partly cloudy in Canberra, heading for 14. Showers easing in Melbourne, 13. Cloudy in Hobart and in Adelaide today. Sunny in Perth, a top of 27. And sunny and 37 in Darwin. Coming up on 7 Early News, a check of finance, plus dementia rates set to soar. Shocking details about Australia's second biggest killer. And the Aussie wedding thief making off with newlyweds' cash. The stories we're following on Early News. The Victorian construction industry has been shut down for 2 weeks after angry tradies crashed with police in violent protests in Melbourne. Australians are waiting to hear when Pfizer will be rolled out to young children after the vaccine was declared safe for 5 to 11-year-olds. Children under 18 in New South Wales are now able to meet in groups of 3 under a new bubble arrangement. And Queensland is threatening to keep its border shut until vaccination rates reach 90%. Donald Trump has doubled down on claims that coronavirus originated in and later escaped from a Chinese lab. The former US president said he was shown evidence that dead bodies were dumped at the Wuhan Institute of Virology in late 2019.
Mr. President, welcome. Was that something that came from the agencies, the intelligence agencies? Is that what they were telling you?
I don't know where it came from. Ask China.
Senior members of his previous government also say the virus was man-made. The family of American blogger Gabby Petito have paid tribute to the 22-year-old after police found her body in a Wyoming national park. Authorities were alerted when Petito's fiancé returned from their cross-country trip on the 1st of September alone. 23-year-old Brian Laundrie has been named a person of interest. He's not been seen since last Tuesday when he told his family he was going for a hike. A new report has shown the death rate caused by dementia is on the rise, with experts saying it's only going to increase further. But there's also proof certain activities can help your brain remain healthy.
Australian TV royalty etched into our memory.
Welcome to the Don Lane Show, live from Melbourne.
Don Lane died after a battle with Alzheimer's.
That affected me a whole lot, watching him as someone I really looked up to lose that charisma, to lose that personality which made him such a big name.
A research funding drive launched by the University of New South Wales.
The work is painstaking. There is no cure in sight. We need a cure.
The stakes are high unless there's a breakthrough. A new government report predicts twice as many people will be living with dementia by 2058. Currently, 54% of people living in aged care have dementia, costing the economy $3 billion.
Dementia doesn't discriminate. 1 in 13 is in their 50s, their 40s and their 30s.
54-year-old sufferer Juanita Hughes is studying analytical chemistry.
By keeping your brain active, you're slowing the progress.
Dementia is Australia's second biggest killer after heart disease, but there are some proven things you can do while you're young to protect your mind.
We know that there are 2 things that build brain volume. One is education and the other is exercise.
Serena Andaloro, 7 News.
5 million pensioners are receiving the biggest increase in 7 years. The single-age pension rate rises by $14.80 to $967.50 a fortnight. For couples, it's an extra $22.40 combined per fortnight. Seniors are encouraged to use the new concessions calculator, which can check for any other eligible entitlements. A bride has been left angry and disgusted after the contents of her wishing well were stolen from her wedding reception. To make matters worse, security video appears to show the venue's security guard caught in the act, while guests were distracted by the bridal waltz.
For Beck and Adrian Rodriguez, it's a day they'll never forget. But while they were having the time of their lives, someone is lurking in the background, waiting for his chance.
Quite disgusting, to be honest.
The security guard at Lightspace checks the wishing well where guests had placed cards and cash. Then he goes back and grabs a handful, while everyone else is focused on the happy couple.
It's just the audacity of this guy that we've hired to secure our stuff, and he has actually stolen it.
Beck only discovered the theft the next day when one of her guests asked about a gift she never received.
The security guard has reached into the wishing well, taken cards and things out of the wishing well.
The venue company refunded the security fee and told Beck to go to the police. The security company says the guard is no longer employed by them. Beck estimates around $1,000 was taken, but for the newlyweds, it's not about the money. They want the letters and cards with personal messages, and they want the security guard held accountable.
It's been an emotional roller coaster.
In a statement, the venue said it empathised completely with the couple and said they would cooperate fully to help in any way they can. The security guard may prefer police deal with it. Beck is a world champion bare-knuckle fist fighter. Adrian is also a professional boxer.
It's funny because all my guests are like, does this guy know who he's stolen from?
Sally Geit, 7 News.
Checking finance now, the Dow Jones is trading down this morning. The Nasdaq is also down. In London, the FTSE fell and Germany's DAX lost. Closer to home, Japan's Nikkei closed higher. Hong Kong's Hang Seng fell. The All Ords closed more than 2% lower, as did the ASX 200. On the commodities market, gold is trading at $1,762 an ounce. Oil is $70 a barrel. The Aussie dollar is buying 72.39 US cents, 79 Japanese yen, and $1.03 New Zealand. Coming up on 7 Early News, Prime Minister en route, Scott Morrison in New York for face-to-face meetings. We cross live to the US. And royal baby joy, Princess Beatrice gives birth to a baby girl. The stories we're following on Early News. Angry tradies have clashed with police in violent protests in Melbourne, forcing a shutdown of the Victorian construction industry for 2 weeks. Pfizer has announced its COVID vaccine is safe for children aged 5 to 11. Australia is now waiting for its approval. The New South Wales Crisis Cabinet have signed off on a new friend bubble arrangement for under 18s. And Queensland's border could stay shut until vaccination rates reach 90%. The Prime Minister is due to land in New York in a few hours, where he'll hold high-level talks with world leaders, including US President Joe Biden. US correspondent David Woiwod joins me live now from New York. Good morning, David. Scott Morrison is in for a very busy day of diplomatic meetings.
He sure is, Jodie. Scott Morrison will touch down in around 3.5 hours at JFK Airport ahead of this jam-packed schedule of meet and greets here in New York City tomorrow. And of course, as you say, it is being headlined by this first ever one-on-one meeting with the President of the United States, Joe Biden. It will be the first time the pair have been in the same room since the announcement of this brand new alliance, AUKUS, and it will come at a time when both countries are still really dealing with the fallout from the announcement of this new pact. Of course, the French government still incredibly angry at Australia's decision to tear up billions of dollars worth of those defence submarine contracts and side with the United States government in this manner. Look, for Scott Morrison's part, he will be trying to soothe some of those European concerns over the next 24 hours or so. He will be meeting with senior EU leaders to try and explain the reasons behind Australia's decision, but by the sounds of things today, he'll have plenty of explaining to do.
One of our member states has been treated in a way that is not acceptable. So we want to know what happened and why, and therefore you first of all clarify that before you keep on going with business as usual.
Yes, the French government still incredibly angry at this move. But look, by all reports, this decision, this announcement of this new alliance has been somewhat better received by our closest neighbours, Indonesia. The Prime Minister, Scott Morrison, speaking to the President, Joko Widodo, there over the past few hours as well, explaining to him some of the intricacies of this new alliance, telling him that this will be good for stability within the Indo-Pacific region. Look, from all reports coming out of the Prime Minister's office, this has been a warmly received phone call, with Australia now set to send a delegation to Indonesia. Jodie?
OK, David Woiwod in New York, thank you. The US is relaxing its COVID travel restrictions, ending an 18-month ban on passengers from the UK and the EU. From November, passengers will be allowed to travel to the US if they're fully vaccinated and undergo testing and contact tracing. The new policy will also apply to Ireland, China, Iran, Brazil, South Africa and India. A murder investigation is underway after at least 6 people were shot dead when a student opened fire at a Russian university. Terrified students jumped from first-floor windows to escape the gunfire, while others barricaded themselves inside classrooms. More than 20 people were injured in the shooting. The gunman was shot dead by police at the scene, 1,300 kilometres east of Moscow. In sport, Alistair Clarkson has officially shut the door on becoming Carlton's next coach after a last-minute offer. The former Hawthorn boss spoke to the Blues over the weekend, but said he's determined to take at least a year off. Port Adelaide assistant Michael Voss is the favourite for the job. Melbourne are confident small forward Charlie Spargo will overcome an ankle injury to play in Saturday's grand final. You can watch the game live on 7. The race for the Dally M medal is down to 5 players. Panthers halfback Nathan Cleary leads the count after round 19, with Manly superstar Tom Trbojevic in second despite an injury-ravaged season. Sea Eagles captain Daly Cherry-Evans, Rabbitohs playmaker Cody Walker and Roosters skipper James Tedesco round out the 5. The winner will be named on the second night of the ceremony next Monday. Australia's women's cricketers start their multi-format series against India in Mackay today, live on 7 Mate. In the IPL, it was a horror start to the season for Virat Kohli's Bangalore. The Indian superstar fell for 5 against Kolkata. Australia's Glenn Maxwell was out for 10, while AB de Villiers lasted 1 ball.
Hello! Let's celebrate and go bananas! Let's go crazy!
The Knight Riders made short work of the 93-run target, winning by 9 wickets. Coming up on 7 Early News, a closer look at how the weather's shaping up in your part of the country. The Queen's granddaughter, Princess Beatrice, has announced the birth of her first child. The baby girl, whose name has not been revealed, was born just before midnight on Saturday, weighing just under 3 kilograms. Beatrice thanked all the staff at the Chelsea and Westminster Hospital. The little girl is a younger sister for Beatrice's stepson, Wolfie, and the Queen's 12th great-grandchild. Taking a look at the weather around the country now, an offshore low and trough will bring strong winds, showers and large swell to eastern New South Wales. Brisk west-southwesterly winds will cause showers over southeast South Australia, Victoria and Tasmania. Heat will build over WA today. Around the capitals, windy and mostly sunny in Brisbane, heading for a top of 25 degrees. A shower or two in Sydney and 17. Partly cloudy in Canberra, heading for 14. Showers easing in Melbourne and 13. Cloudy in Hobart, 14 the top. Cloudy also in Melbourne, 13. 15 degrees the top in Adelaide. Sunny in Perth, a top of 27. And sunny and 37 in Darwin. And that's